I will start with Google Classroom. Now, the first thing, we don't open Google Classroom at all. You will open your EPOKA email and open the drive. Here, we are going to create a folder because it seems like we are going to have these online exam sessions often. You better organize your exams in a folder. If you can create your quiz directly from Google Classroom, but Google Classroom is not handling your files, let's say not very friendly. You can create a folder like this and name it. This is going to be my exams. And I am going to save all my exams here. Next year, the other year, I can just open that one and modify and use them again. Google Classroom, okay, it is keeping that one, but you are archiving. When you want to go back to that one, it is difficult to find them all. There will be master. I highly recommend you to go with this way. This is my folder I created. Now it is here. So I want to organize all my classes. I am going to create another folder. This is going to be my course and 352 artificial intelligence. Okay, now my folder is ready. For other exams, I can create another folder. So all my exams will be here. It might be midterm, quiz, finals, whatever you want. Now what we are going to do, we are going to create a Google form. It is same as creating quiz in Classroom. I believe you are familiar already with Google Form. You can change the name first thing, final. This name is very important if you want to make a group. If you want to make 2 or 3 groups, just give the same name here, final. There, you can give this one, let's say, final A. I want to do 3 groups. So you can keep here final A, but this is going to be final. This is what students will see. If students see that this is final A, immediately you know how good they are about communication. They will communicate with each other and they will all know which group they are. But this is going to be prevent that one. Now, first thing, we have to set up our quiz. I didn't start adding any question. I have to set up. There are some settings we have to deal. Here, settings. First, general. I like to collect all the emails. This is fine. Response, receipt, this is not okay. Why? Some students finish early. When they submit everything, they are going to get all the results. So when they get the results, they can immediately send their friends and they are all gonna see his results. The results means they will see the questions, what question they answer and what is the correct answer. So this is an answer key. It is better just check out this one. We don't want this one. Restrict users, EPOKA University and its trust organization. This is yes, we want them to use their EPOKA email. We don't want anybody else from some other countries to connect here. And limit to 1 response. So they are going to finish once, then it is over. They cannot open again and start the exam. We don't want this one. We want to limit it. They have only 1 chance to finish exam. When they submit, it is over. Edit after submit, no. See summary charts and text response, no, they don't need to do that one. This is the overall results. They just need to know their results. So this is in general, just check this one, check out that one, and check both of them. Presentation part, shuffle question order is very important. It means it is going to send the order, different order to each student. We just check that one, that is enough. And quizzes. Now this is not a quiz, this is a form, so we have to make this one quiz. I have to check that one. We don't have Chromebooks, because if you use Chromebooks, it is going to block all the web pages, other things. It is very nice, but students, they don't have Chromebooks, so we cannot use that one. Here, immediately after each submission, release grade. Not again, we don't want that one. I want to decide when to send students the results. So I am going to pick this one. Later, after manual review. So I am going to check everything. Then I will send the students their answer key. This is a personalized answer key. Each student will see their answer and the correct one. So we don't pick that one, we pick the next one. So what do you want to send to students? I want to send students the missed questions. If he didn't answer one question, I want to send that one. The correct answer, I want to send one. And the point values, I want to send them so we can pick them up. I guess this is clear. Now, this is our final. For the description part, I copied from one of my friends. You can prepare the description. Something like that. This is the description part. I will just copy paste here. So what are the rules? I mean, for each lesson, there are some different rules, regulations. You have to decide that one. You can write it. If it is 90 minutes, it is going to start this date, this time. Should answer each question, be able to submit your exam. Once you submit the exam, you cannot return the exam. You can put here whatever you want about the exam. Now we can ask the first question. It is better to collect students' name and surname. They have to enter this one, and this is required. If they don't do that one, they cannot pass. The next question. So this is short answer. The first page is ready. Now you have to think about two things. One thing, in fact, how you like students to see the questions, page by page, all the questions in one page. If it is page by page, they are going to finish one question, then they will click next and see the next question. Or you can put all of them in one page. They are going to see all of them and they will start answering them. I like to keep this one. This is the information as a one page and create another page, which is here at section. Now this is going to be the second page and I will write here questions. Whenever you want, you can go to preview here and see the results. Final, some explanation about your exam, and then your answer. Ali, next. This is over. I will submit, then exam will be over. So this you can see whenever you want. Now, if your exam is just an essay, you don't want to ask some multiple questions or short answer, long answer, multiple choice. If it is just the essay, you don't need to deal with this one. You can open an essay in Google Classroom. Students will upload their essay there, and then you can check them internally. But if your exam has some multiple choices, multiple answers, fill in the blanks, short answer, long answer, uploading some folder, file, you can carry on here. Let's start our first question. I want to ask, let's say, how does COVID-19 affect the education system? This is not a multiple choice. This might be paragraph. So here they are going to write their answer. This is what they say. And I like to create the answer key to give the points. How many points do you like to give? I want to give 100 points or 10 points. This is done. Let's add another exam, another question. A and B. What is the difference between A and B? So I like to have multiple choice or checkbox, multiple answers. Option 1, A is better than B. What is A? So you can keep going like that. You can leave other. Other means none of them is correct. He wants to enter his answer. Now, which one is correct answer? Where is my answer key? Answer key is here again. You click once here. How many points this question? Let's say 10 points. Which one is the correct answer? This one is correct answer. Okay, so this is my answer key, and done. If students pick that one, they are going to get 10 points automatically. You don't need to do anything. At the end, totally, it is going to give you overall grade. If this is required, student has to pick something. Now I want to shuffle them. I don't want this order for each student. Here, shuffle option order, it means each student will have different order. This is very important. At least this is going to prevent students to helping each other. What else we can do? I can add picture. You can upload pictures from your computer directly. If you have some graph and you want students to work on that graph for the question, you can directly upload. You can get from your drive. I will simply search from here. Simple graph, let's have one. So there are a lot of photos, you can pick any of them. I'm going to pick this one. So this is the graph, and based on this graph, I'm going to write some question here. It might be multiple choice, checkbox again. Question might be, what is the shortest path from A to D? You can put all the options here. You can put picture even for the options. Here I can put a picture as the option, the other option, so they can pick the picture there too. You can insert equation and formula, okay? But you have to write them in Word and then take a screenshot, convert to image, and then you can insert it here. Okay, so this is, let's say this is done. Let's have a look to preview. We wrote our name. This is what students see. And these are the questions. I put only one option here. I didn't even give grade here. This is wrong. I have supposed to give grade here. Here 10 points, A is better than D. And here I write my answer here. Then I will simply submit it. Now, let's say our exam is ready. And we know where is our exam, it is in our drive, because we need to know that when later on we will come here and check something, all the responses will be here, well organized with the statistical data. You can see how many students answer the first part. In the first question, the first option, second option, how many of them get full grades. So it's going to give us a nice statistics. Maybe you will see that most of the students make this question wrong. Maybe something is wrong with that question, so you can go back and check it and correct it. Whenever you correct, it is dynamically affect all the students when you change the answer key. So this is a nice statistic about your exam. You can see the questions. You can see individual students one by one. This is Ali, only he answered. This is how he answered. This is very short, that's why. The answers are here. I can give some feedback one by one students. This was wrong, or whatever justification you want to do about your grades, you can give right here. Students will see all of them. So this is what students will see when you send them their exam paper. They will see if it is correct, if it is wrong, and your explanation. At the end, we can print out this one and put in our final folder. So we have to submit something. So this is very nice documents for the exam to keep in our folder, exam folder. Now, okay, our exam is ready. It is time to go now Google Classroom. I created one SEM testing. There are just 2 students there. Classwork and create. Not assignment, we are going to create quiz assignment. Again, If your exam is just an essay, 2 hours, 3 hours, I don't know, the time limit will be sent to us. If it is just an essay, you can go with the assignment. You are going to ask students to send essay. You can define start dates and end dates, start time and end time. We are going to go with quiz assignment for now. Title will be final. We don't want this one because we have already created our own exam. So I am just going to delete this one and add from Google Drive. It was in my drive, my exams. This is the latest one. Latest one will appear at the beginning, so you won't have difficulties to find. It was send and final A. Add. It shows here final A, but when I send the students, it is going to show me just final. So I can create another assignment. I can name final B. Only I will know that one is a final B. Students will see that one as a final A. So it is here. Now what? First, I don't want to start exam right now. I want to schedule it. So my exam will be Friday at 2 p.m. It has closed. Let's open it again because I am not done yet. Edit. All students, if you don't have any group, you have to pick, you don't need to do anything, it's going to pick all the students. For now, there are only 2 students, Ali Topal, Osman Topal. They are very friendly guys. Now, due date, when the exam will finish. It is going to be again Friday. This is 2 hours exam for me. It is going to be over 16 p.m. So it's gonna over at 4. It's gonna start at 2 p.m. It will be over at 4 p.m. Now my exam is ready. I have scheduled it. When the time comes, student will see the exam automatically. They are going to open their Google Classroom or they will open their email and they will see that one. Now we had some problems. I discussed with one of my friends. He used Google Classroom for quizzes. If you are using many groups, 2 groups, 4, 5 groups, sometimes students do not get on time. You say the schedule at 2 o'clock it will start, but it might not start immediately. In that case, you can go again final and delete this one because it is 2 p.m. and students are sending you email that exam didn't start for them. There might be some delay, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. If you don't want to deal that one, just close this one and assign. When you click assign, immediately they are going to get the quiz and they can start. Okay. Let's assign both of them. Yeah, we have assigned. Now let's open as a student. So this is student screen. Student open the email. They are going to see that notification that their final is starting. So they are going to click the email, then open. Or they can open their Google Classroom. So final is here. They will just click. Students know this one very well if they already experienced. Now my final is starting. I write my name. So there is only one option. We didn't give points here. My answer will be very short. It might not accept at all, and there will be meaningless. So we finished the exam. I submit it. Open assignment. As a student, I cannot see anymore because I am done now. I cannot see anything. I cannot change anything. This is what I am going to see. Now, what about professor? So that was the final. I am going to view the assignment. So Osman turned in, it is here. I can import the grades. When I import the grades, as you see, there is no grade here now. Whenever I import, all the grades will transfer to here automatically. Let's see, Osman took 0 points. So we are going to see all the students here and all the grades will transfer automatically. You don't need to worry about them. Then you can just transfer to A's one by one. Now, what about the details? How can I see all the details? For that one, we already opened the forms in our Google Drive. So if you go back our drive, it was in my exams. Final A is here. I opened it. There are 2 responses. One of them was myself, another one was student Osman. I can open that one and I can see the results here. Average 5, median, range, you have all kind of statistics. There were 2 guys, professor field and student field. You are gonna see all your students here. It will be a long list here. You can see all the responses question by question, or you can see individual, one by one. This is first one. This is the second one. Now, let's say you finished. You gave the feedback for each question. You say this is wrong, that is the reason, or this is correct, that is the reason. You are done. Now you want to send email to students, the answer key, their exam paper. You just click here, release score. Select all the students. This will be a long list again. And then send email and release. So you have power to send students the answer key and their results. They can see their paper, so they don't have anything to discuss with you anymore. Let's have a look students. So I get the results. So out of all score released, this is the student. I took 0, very bad. And these are my answer. This is wrong, this is wrong, and I took 0 points. At the end, I can print out this one. If I have problem, I can discuss with professor. Okay, you say this is wrong, but I might tell that this is not wrong, correct. So it is the next step anymore. So this is Google Classroom with for the final exams. It has a lot of flexibility. You have a lot of options. I just show you just a couple of them. There are many things here. Dropbox, you can file upload. These are most, I don't think that you are going to use a lot this one. Mostly you are going to use paragraph, short answer, checkbox, and multiple choice. What about file upload? There are some courses like math, physics, and I don't want to see just the options that student picked, A, B, C, D. That is not enough. I like to see how students solve that question. So they are going to pick the answer, one of them. After that, after this question, I can put another one. This is going to be upload. Upload for after each question maybe. For this question, I want to know how he find out B is better than A. I want to see all the steps. So they are going to write on paper, on a scratch paper. So I like them to upload that paper to me. It might prevent students to help each other again. Here, I will just choose file upload, continue. Allow any specific file types. You can decide that on what kind of file they can upload. It might be image. Most probably it will be image. They can take the photo with their cell phone, then they can upload it. Documents, Google Documents, spreadsheet, it is up to your file. How many times, how many files they can upload, what is the maximum size, and it is required or not, then this will be ready. So for this question, I will ask them to upload. This is one way to do that one. Question by question, they can upload. Another way, you finish the final, they submit it, you can give them 15 minutes. And you can tell them, you can open a Google assignment. So this is my final. I am going to open another assignment, and I will say here, final paper upload. That's it. I know when it started. I will give schedule again. I want them to upload not 2 p.m. The exam will be over at 14:16. So I'm going to tell that 16 it will start. And when it is going to be due, again, Friday, I will give them maximum 15 minutes. We shouldn't give them too much time. So the communication, very good among students. 10 minutes, 15 minutes will be enough for them to take the photo of what they have done. Again, this is not for all the courses. For some math courses, physics, or for some electronic courses, they need some calculations. And we like to see the steps, how they are solving the questions. But that will be enough for them to upload. I scheduled. I will tell students, if you don't upload your scratch paper, no points, or up to you, I mean. So this is Google Classroom. All the students should be part 9th class in the classroom, otherwise they will not receive. Okay. For the group is going to help you a lot. You can do 2 or 3 groups. To do that one, I will just go my class drive again, and the same folder, my exams. So this is ready. This is final A. I want to prepare, as you see, final A file responses are here. So all the files students will upload, images, they will be here. I am just going to make a copy. This final is okay. I will make a copy. I will change the name. I don't want to prepare everything from the scratch. This is going to be final B. So what am I going to change? I will open and I will change some things here. Not the education system. World peace. So instead of B, I'm going to make this one D. Just slightly changes will be enough. And the answer will be something else. I mean, I will just remove this B's to D's. So this is a new exam now. Another group. Just slight changes. The students will not get this. Okay. So how am I going to do that one? This is going to be final for group A. And I am going to create another one for group B. Quiz assignment. Final exam, this should be same again. Don't put any A or B, students will find out otherwise. I don't need this one, I have already prepared. I will call that one from Google Drive. And my exams, final B is here. So this is different questions now the tricky part is here. I don't want all students, I want only group B. This is group B, this is group A. There will be 100 students. You have to split them if you're going to do 2 groups, 3 groups, 4 groups. So you have to split them for 2 or 3. For now, I have just 2. This is going to be group A. So that guy is going to get this question. The other guy is going to get another question. So this is how you split the groups. If the group is important for your case, I mean, for some cases it is very important, but for some questions, of course. So connectivity problem vary across locations. That question's answer is not here, Nakib. We are waiting for rectorate to decide, give us some guidelines about that one. Regarding open questions, can we manually change the points if you consider well answered? Yes, you can change the points whenever you want. Even you can do that one. You can see that this is individual now. This is Ali. Okay, he didn't give any question, but I don't agree with that one. I want to give 5 points. So I can give 5 points here. I can change the grades. This one is okay, it is very nice girl. I will give 15 points. You can change whenever you want. Or you have seen that this was the wrong answer, you want to change it. When you change it, it is going to change for everybody immediately. Or you have seen that this is the correct one, you can change. Or you can just remove the points. So it is very interactive. Okay. So this is Google Classroom, Google Quiz. I am going to share a link with you, YouTube videos. There is a guy who explained better than me, but sorry. One more thing and very important. There's the last thing. We put the deadline. Okay, we say that at 4 o'clock the exam will be over. But students still can answer the questions. They have still access to continue. Only you get the answer that it is a late submission, which is not enough for you. We don't want students to upload anymore. We don't want students to continue exam. So you have to close this one, accepting responses. You think everyone is over, you just close that one anymore. You are not going to accept any response. So it is up to you. Of course, you can give 5 minutes, 10 minutes, you can tolerate or not. This is up to most of time professors. There might be some electricity cut with your computer, or there might be some unwanted situations, so you can decide. But do not forget to close this one. If you don't close, students have access to upload their file. The only thing you will see is late submission. In the report, it's going to tell you that there will be late submission. That's all. Okay. So that's all for the Google Classroom. I will share again the link with you. I hope it will be helpful, and I will be in touch. You can contact with me. For the math professors, for physics professors who needs to do some groups, you can contact with Hakan Yozgatlı. Professor Hakan Yozgatlı, he will help you too. He has a lot of experience. Now, I like to give the screen to Arben Aslani, Professor Arben Aslani. He's from United States. He's our part-time professor from Fulbright. He has been teaching bachelor and master level courses here online, and he has a lot of experience about online examination. We'd like to hear his experience, if he's okay. Professor Arben?
Greetings, how is everyone? Well, thank you for inviting me. I am down in Florida today, but don't feel bad because it's raining outside, so nothing exciting going on outside. I'm glad that I'm here in this online meeting. I thank you, Dr. Topal, for inviting me. I'd like to share my experience with online exams. And I understand that some of the things that I might share with you may not probably apply based on the, the university policy or the Ministry of Education. So we have more freedom here in terms of professors, what we want to do, how we feel is important. So I just wanted to say that up front, because if I say something, I don't want you to, to go ahead and implement it if it's outside your policies and your guidelines that are given to you. So giving an online exam is nerve-wracking, is very difficult for students, but actually it's more difficult for the professors, because we really don't know. There used to be a cartoon many years ago in New York Times, that's saying you never know who is behind the computer, right? It's and there's a dog taking an exam on there. So that's the major thing. That's what keeps up all night. Who is this? The student that is supposed to take the exam is taking the exam. So there are some, and we may not be able to avoid that 100%. I wanted to be at peace with that, because it's something we may not be able to control, but we can make all the efforts to avoid that. Okay. So before I continue, are you hearing okay? Are you following?
Yeah, your sound is perfect.
Okay, great. So just some strategies. I like to share some strategies that we might want to use when we give online exams. First of all, I'm glad I listened very carefully to Dr. Topal's presentation, and I'm glad that Google Classroom offers some very good options that we can use. I personally use Canvas as a learning management system. I have experience with Blackboard as well, so there are some features there that are very interesting. If your students have used if you have used Canvas this semester, I would recommend considering the assignment options in Canvas. With my 2 courses that I'm teaching for EPOKA this semester, I've been using Canvas all along, so that's what I'll be working on my final exam. Now, when you create those exams, there are different types of exams, right? One group can be simple multiple choice true-false questions that you might plan to give. Another group of or type of exam can be essay type of questions, okay? And the third one is a combination. You give some essay and some. And there are different strategies that you can apply on different type of exams. But overall, it's very important for online exams that we set up the expectations up front. That introduction part that Ali was mentioning with you, when you talk about the exams, this is an exam, we'll start at this time, we'll end at this time. So at that part, you may want to use that part to give, let's say, how much time that you're supposed to have in the exam, how many questions are going to have in the exam, can they submit late or not? If they submit late, is there a penalty? So everything, and probably give that in the description so the student can read the whole thing before the exam time starts. So give them enough time to read all the details, like, is there a late submission penalty? Is there a plagiarism? If the score is of plagiarism score is, I personally use 15% and below is okay. 15 to 25% is a warning sign, and over 25%, then it's not good. So that probably, so what happens if it's 35%? The students need to know up front. So that's I think it's a good policy to tell them up front what they're dealing in the exam. And you can do that during your exam review, telling them or sending an email in advance. These are the things that you need to keep in mind in the exam. So that is something that students need to know in advance, and they be prepared. Now, specifically, what will be those policies? Well, one important thing that I recommend is time. Make the exam timed, okay? So that 3 types of way. You can put an exam start, let's say the exam will start on Monday, and you can complete the questions and you submit them by Friday at 5 p.m. So you give them enough time, okay? They need to know that, and there is ways you can write questions in such a way that you avoid plagiarism, okay? So in that case, you put a plagiarism software in place, you ask questions that are relatively difficult, okay? These are questions that require a lot of thinking and problem solving, because you are giving them 5 days to work on the question. Similar like a project, but so you give them question. And one way to ask this type of questions is to make sure that the answer to the questions is not necessarily in the textbook, because they may find that and then they will copy and paste, and who is to argue with that? You may change it for plagiarism. So, but for example, when I ask a question on a database course, I'm just giving you, instead of saying, what are the components of database management system, I say, visit a grocery store in your neighborhood, indicate which grocery store did you go, observe the information and data that you see in the grocery store, and explain what components of database you found there. So that way, no 2 answers can be the same, right? Because even the students visit the same grocery store, their experience is going to be different. Okay, so ask the questions in such a way that the answers are not necessarily in the textbook, but they also, you know, it's easy for you to identify where is plagiarized or not. So ask difficult questions and provide. So this is one, and I understand that this might not be the policy that university is implementing these days. You need to have them at a certain time, a certain day. So in this case, the quiz questions are very good, and I saw some good features that, you know, the grouping that Ali was explaining. So in the quiz questions, again, I would say the time is important. As a rule of thumb, 45 seconds is more than enough for each question. So if I have a quiz question with a quiz exam with about 100, I will just leave 1 minute per question, so 100 minutes. Now, that's good. That way, the students do not have time to, you know, read the question and go open the book and find the answer and, you know, go back and forth. They either know it and answer and move on to the next question. Now, I understand that because I had this discussion when we're doing the midterm, if you remember, you know, some students didn't like to have a timed exam on the midterm. Yeah. And I think you can still have a time for each question and allow potentially on your own for potential rescaling. So if for some reason you did not give enough time, let's say if you see that the whole class is basically not able to complete the exam, then you may want to allow some rescaling of the score. So, and you have to put that up front at the beginning. I said at the introduction part. So say for each question, you have 1 minute for each question. And so in case that majority of students are not able to finish that, then a rescaling of the score in case there is not enough time for the whole group. So the students that have studied, they will put the actual time. The students, the good students that you have in the course, you can see they will set up the standard for the time, and you can judge whether you gave them. So there is some risk there, but again, I would for the quiz questions that are multiple choice or true-false questions, I personally put 1 minute, and I know, and I see the statistics, they usually take much less than 1 minute. Those that know the answer, just read and answer and move on to the next one. But at the same time, you don't want to put anxiety on students. They don't want them to be nervous and say, oh, I need to move on. So you need to let them time to think and answer the question. So I think 1 minute per question will be more than enough. For essay type questions, I would say think like you will answer that, let's say a 250 word essay type. How much time do you need to answer that question? And just I'll multiply it with a coefficient 1.5 or 2, depends on how you feel about the question. So, and give them that much time. Let's say if you need, I don't know, 20 minutes, then give them 30 minutes for an essay type question. So that way, again, you can always adjust at the end. If you see that you did not, in my experience, I've given online exams a lot, and I pretty much know how much time is needed for this type of question, for these courses. But I understand that for some of you, this online maybe exam giving is the first time. But, you know, what would you do in a classroom, right? How much time do you give to these questions if the students have to be there in the classroom, okay? One important thing that I put on my exams is the possibility that the internet will go out, right? And the students will come with that, well, I was in the middle of the exam and the exam crashed. What do I do? That's not the good news for us to get from students, right? So in that case, again, in that introduction part, I make sure that I say, find a reliable internet connection. You are responsible for it. So I do all the things that students are aware and they need to do the best to make sure they do not get, and they don't think about intentionally disconnecting, right? And in case there is a disconnect, I put something like this: in case there is a disconnect, I can reset your exam, but there will be X percentage penalty. How you feel about 50% or 20%? So students know that even if they do that, they will get some penalty. Whether you are going to apply the penalty once the exam is done, that you feel, how do you know, how much do you know about students, and you really use, was an outage in the area, and so that's something. But at least they need to know upfront that they should be very serious about starting and completing the exam. And again, no black-white answers. It's very difficult. You should leave answers that give their opinion, and they can put 2 and 2 together on what they learned in course and give you a reliable answer, rather than, giving you the, something that they can find from the book. So because some will try, some will have the textbook next to their screen when they're taking the exam. So we need to make sure, and we need to tell them up front. That's very important. Tell them up front the type of questions they may not. So if you tell everything up front, that will be much better.
Yeah.
When they restart the exam, for example, they were disconnected, and coming back, and you set it up, I would put them, I don't know, Ali, if you are able in the Google, I will put them in a different group, so they have a different set of questions next time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
It is possible.
So that's something that, so randomizing the Canvas allows randomizing. So what I do, I have, let's say, 60 questions, and each student picks up randomly. The computer assigns 20 out of the 60 questions randomly. So no 2 students have the same set of questions to answer. So that avoids the possibility that students will share the answers and the questions, because they are going to have different, and if the exam is timed, they really don't have time to help someone else. They are focused on their own exam. Okay.
Yeah.
Another thing, I don't know, Ali, if the Google allows, but randomizing the answers is also a good strategy.
Yeah, it does that one. It organizes.
Okay, if you do that, that's good. In that case, make sure that you don't have all of the above as one of the options, right? Mm-hmm. Because all of the above may be anywhere in those 4 or 5 questions. So in that case, you just need one answer to be the correct one, only one, and then so allow that. So if they just share the key, they may be able to do that.
It shuffles for each student and sends different questions. Even the options are shuffled.
Yes. So that's another thing to do. If there is an essay type questions, tell them up front, Turnitin. I know EPOKA has Turnitin as far
we have
as I remember. So use Turnitin, set up guidelines saying that this is, as I said, 15% or below is okay. Now, that doesn't mean they can copy up to 50%. It just allows, 50% allows for, because computer will pick up things like management of information technology is considering this, like, someone is, these words go always together. So, or, database management system. So there are certain words that always go together, and students will use them and they will be counted. So that's what 15% is about, to allow for this random plagiarism. So, but above 15% probably is intentional, and that's when you need to set up a policy what you need to do. And so, as you know upfront, they should be able. So, if you have any question, I don't know. I was driving all day yesterday, so I didn't have much time to prepare formally. But these are some of the things that we do, and I do here at my university, at the University of Tennessee. We use online. We really, one thing is different, that we really have a lot of freedom. It's up to the professor to decide what's. So sometimes for master classes, I do exams that start and end at a certain date. So they have time to work and solve. And again, I try to give unique answers. So no 2 questions can be the same, right? Even with EPOKA students now that I'm giving this type of exam with a master students, I am asking these questions. The due date for them is July 12th, but the questions are not the same. Two students are they can give you different answers because they have to choose, assign, for example, different data sets.
Yeah. Just customize the exam, I guess.
Functions produce different results. So they need to do different things. So it's the same skills, but with a different data set. So you can do that also. I believe that you should apply your philosophy to your teaching and to your classroom. So I would say you mentioned references. You make a very good point, the references part. It's very important. Usually Turnitin, if you do it in quotation marks, if exact quote, you do. But even in that case, I actually tell students, because this is not necessarily a conference paper, I tell students, I want you to tell me what you think, not what others have think. So don't necessarily go and pick up what others say and give me the answer. I cannot argue with that, right? This is how much you know on the topic. So if someone defines the fourth industrial revolution this way, I want you to tell me, how do you think? How do you define it? So that's the problem solving skills and having students think creatively. So they see someone is there, there's a definition over there, and a lot of students use dictionaries that are on the web and that to give you these definitions. But it's very important that we ask what students think about that. So even if it's somebody's idea, they have to cite, and if I always ask if there is a cite, if it's someone else's idea, you have to use the in-text citation and list the reference at the end. And usually you may want, because I'm going different. So when you do this, I actually ask students, I need at least 2 references for questions. So I want to push them to go and do some research. Okay. Yeah. So sometimes if you want them to read the book, you say one of these references should be from the textbook and the other from another reliable source. And you define what is a reliable source. So that will allow, now, again, if you want to make it 20%, 25%, that's how much, depends how you feel it. I'm fine with that.
It is up to course, I guess, professor, and it is up to professor, the course type, so it differs. And all professors know better their courses, and
yes,
they can decide that. Professor Arben, thank you very much for your contribution, for your ideas. They are very important for us. They are going to help us, I guess, for most of our professors. They are going to benefit, because at the end, the exam is the exam in all the world, and we are all facing the same problems and solutions in the same, everywhere. Dr. Esmer, you have the control now.
I hope my voice is clear.
Yeah, it is clear.
Okay, thank you, Professor. Hello, everyone. So I'm aware that we are running out of time, so I will try to zip everything as much as I can. I do agree with you, Professor Ali, that everyone should stick to what he or she has been doing until now, because there is no much time into learning a new platform and experimenting. I think that we should do what we know best, what we have been doing until now. So as it regards Microsoft Teams, like Google Classroom as well, it's a virtual collaborative learning platform, or a blended learning platform, offering students and professor both a synchronous and an asynchronous communication approach. I assume that all of us will be making exams in kind of 3 forms, like a multiple choice question, or a blended one with open questions. Or another way would be a project, like you would give groups of students some projects and expect them to deliver and present them to you. And another one would be a kind of assignment type exam, which you would be expecting to hand them. You would expect them to hand them in, and you check them later on. So I will try to go from my screen. Okay, so this is how a main screen of Microsoft Teams would look like. I will go through one of my own classes just to make it simpler. So one of my classes was operations research. I will just open the team or the channel. So this is the mainstream of where I discuss everything with my students, with my class, where everything has been posted or discussed. Let's go with the first option, the quiz type option, like the multiple choice option. We have one assignment on top over here. We just click to the assignment and we go on with create. If we are going to deliver an assignment, we select assignment, but right now we're talking about the quiz. Well, it's a final exam, but its denomination is a quiz, and we will talk about the details. So I am opting for a new form. I don't want to go through an earlier quiz or an earlier version form that I have created. I want to open a new form now. And a screen like this will be shown to everyone. I want to create a new quiz. So just to make it clear, it's not much different from what Professor Ali explained from the Google Forms. It has, well, the main advantage that I have seen throughout the semester is that the shuffling option of Microsoft Teams is much better and much more practical than the Google Forms shuffling option. So we will see what I am talking about. So let's suppose that we are conducting a final exam. I'm just going to name it as a final exam, and I want to put some instructions in here, like the professor before me explained. In here, you would like to put everything, all the details that you want your students to see in advance. So this is, let's say, your final exam. Maybe you would say like, please pay attention to the time, or whatever details you want to put. And it will show like this. So every student, before going into the quiz, will see the instructions ahead. Then we want to add the questions. There are three options in Microsoft Teams: either a multiple choice question, either an open question, or ranking questions, where we are asked to list from one point to another point. Well, we will opt for a multiple choice now. And I have a question. So I just picked some questions from the internet randomly. I'm putting the question, and options are for the alternatives. Like, I will just make up some alternatives, add option for every new alternative. And in here, if you can see, you have a tick option. This is the option where you select the correct answer. Let's say 15, I'm just making up, is the right answer. So I have selected the correct answer. Now I have the points over here. If, let's say, I have 5 questions, I want to give equal points to every question. I'm just valuing this question as 20 points. If I have multiple answers from a question, I will have to tick to this option over here, multiple answers. Right now, let's say I have only one correct answer. If we want to make this question as a required question, so no student can submit the quiz unless he or she has answered this question, we're making it as a required question. And the most important option, according to me, for our case, for our context, for our Albanian context, is trying to minimize the plagiarism options to students. There is a shuffle option over here. I'm just clicking the shuffle option. This shuffle will shuffle the answer alternatives, not the questions. At the end of the quiz, I have additionally the option to shuffle the questions. Right now, with the shuffling option that I did, every student will have the first question the same, but the lining of alternatives will be different. So some of them will have, the first option will be 15, for some of them the first option will be 30, and so on. So it has a double opportunity to shuffle, either both questions and answers. If we want to add a new question, I'm just clicking the add new, and let's say this question will be an open question. So let's say, what is the date today? I'm just making up. I will add my answer, like 0707. So this is my correct answer, so that when I check them, I know what the correct answer is, and they have the opportunity to answer over here. Let's say that we want to add a new question, which is a kind of, I want to add an equation, a mathematical equation. It's going to be a multiple choice again, but from the 3 dots in the right of the screen, we select math. From here, so let's say solve for X. So this is the question. I want to add an equation now. So this is an advantage of Microsoft Teams. So like, let's say X plus 6 equal. So, and I am given some suggested results as well. I can directly select them as alternatives, let's say. And of course, I have selected the correct answer as well. So let's say that this is 20 points as well. It's a math and shuffled. And now let's see how it looks. This is how it would look. Students would see this interface. Let me go back. I have another option. If I want to make it a little bit more fancier, I can change the theme and see how it looks now. This is the computer screen, but they have the option to, I mean, they could answer from their mobile phones. So this is how it would look in a mobile phone. And I think that this is a very good justification. I mean, a very good reasoning towards students' justifications that internet connections are bad and stuff like that, because everyone has data in their, I mean, I think we could assume that everyone has a smartphone with data in it. Another very important option, or what we need to cope with, is the 3 dots over here and the settings. Now, if we want to show them automatically the results as soon as they answer, we have to check this option over here. But as Professor Ali explained in the beginning, it's not a good option because they could share the answers directly with their friends. So we untick this one. Then we want a start date, let's say today at 4 p.m. and end date. If we want to give them 1 hour, we can arrange all the timing. And this is the other option, the other shuffle option, shuffle questions. So besides shuffling answers, like alternatives of each question, I am shuffling questions as well. So I am shuffling all questions. So no 2 students will receive the same line of questions. If I want a notification in my email from every response, I will have to tick this option, this box, but I would not like, because I do have an app, a Microsoft app, and I receive all the notifications over there. I don't want to mix my email. And we could customize as well our thank you message and stuff. Now, let's say that our exam, our quiz, final exam, whatever, is ready. Now we need to send the exam. We just click into the send option, and we get some options over here. The first option is a link. This is actually the best option. Other options are like QR code, embedding it into a web page, or emailing it, but we are using Gmail, EPOKA email, and the best option would be like to copy the link. If after we have copied the link, we go back into our main class, in our Microsoft Teams class. So what we would do, in the mainstream of my class, I will just write, hi guys, please find the link of your final exam. And I'm just pasting it and sending it. And by default, it will go to all the students that are part of this class, which I have already created in advance. Now, let's suppose that everyone received the quiz and they answered. This is how the answers would look like. So I just answered 2 of them in order to have an idea. Like in Google Forms, in here as well, you get details. More details you could get from here, from the review answers. If you want individual details, like per every student. So respondent 0, I can see that this guy took 20 points out of 100. And I can see which are the wrong and correct answers. Then I have respondent 1, let's say. This was a great student that correctly answered all the 5 questions. And accordingly, I can easily then pass the grades into the ACE system. So this is how a quiz would be prepared in Microsoft Forms. Another option would be the assignment. Like if you want your students, so if you want to send your students questions, open questions, especially for quantitative classes, quantitative courses, where you want them to solve exercises in blank paper, you would more normally create an assignment where you ask them, you send them the question, and you ask them to answer the questions into blank paper or whatever, and they could like just take a picture of that answer and send it back to you. Well, you would say, what's the difference between this option and an email, a simple email? The advantage of Microsoft Teams is like it is like a platform where both you and the student could review their paper all together and see where the mistakes are and how what you have graded and not graded in that paper. So everything is like localized into a platform where you can easily find, and you don't want to mix your email with the final exams of your students. So let's say, again, final exam. And here you are writing the instructions like pay attention to time, etc., whatever. And here you want to attach the questions, the problems, whatever. If it is from your computer, let's say just I'm attaching something. Done. Now, if you want to give points, you'd say that the maximum points are 100, and accordingly you will grade them. So this exam assignment is assigned to all the operations research class. But if you want to change it and you want to send it to some students, you have the option to select the students to whom you are willing to send the assignment. What's more important in here is the dates, the due dates. Due date. So maybe you would like to schedule and assign it in the future. So you want to prepare your exam right now and you want your students to see the exam tomorrow or after 2 days. Accordingly, you will schedule to assign in the future. Let's say I'm scheduling now for them to see tomorrow at 9 a.m. The due date is the date when they are supposed to send their answers back. But if you say that, my students usually pick the last moments, and if they pass the 11:59 p.m. of tomorrow's, then they will be penalized. So I want to allow them a few minutes more. So I'm selecting the close date, and let's say I'm allowing them, even though my due date is tomorrow 11:59 p.m., they will be able to send their homeworks, their assignments, their final exams until the next day at 10:59 a.m. If I don't select this option, they will not be allowed. The system will not accept their papers, their work after this designated time. So if you want to pardon, to give some time to your students, you would select the close date option. After you are done, you are just going to schedule. Or if you don't want to schedule, you want them to see immediately, you are going to assign and change the schedule option from here. One more time. You don't want to schedule, but you want them to see it immediately. So you are going to assign. So you don't have to send an email or something, because all of them are part of this class, and they will automatically receive a notification through the app that something new has happened in this class and you need to have a look. And they will see the final exam or assignment or whatever it is posted in their stream. The third option that we may be willing to select for the final exam would be a project. Well, Microsoft Teams is the best option for that, because as you can see in the left side in here, I have created 16 subclasses within my main class. So every group has a separate channel, a separate subclass, where I am communicating with them for their respective project group, project work. And I can even allocate them the time to present only through this channel, and I don't want to mess with the other groups. So I don't want the other groups to be kind of annoyed with the messages or with my communication that I have with this specific group. So this is very kind of channeled to the members of this group. So if you are willing to give them a project, maybe it may be late now, but if you are again willing to allocate projects to them, I would suggest that you select this option and create sub-channels, subclasses, because it is very effective. So you can follow up with them from the beginning until the end of their project. So I tried to optimize everything. So if there is any question, I can be willing to answer. But as I said from the beginning, I suggest you stick to what you have been doing until now, because there is not much time to learn new platforms, I guess. So Professor Ali, this is all from my side.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Esmer. Thank you very much for your time.